So those of you come to the Monday lunchtimes regularly, um, I alternate week by week teaching loving kindness practice or mindfulness practice. Today we're going to work with mindfulness, and at most tree Ratner centers you'll get taught the 4-stage mindfulness breathing with counting the breath and such like things like that. And it's a very good structure to learn with, but my personal inclination over the last years has been to turn towards a slightly different structure that the Buddha taught, and it's got a lot of stages, but it's a nice one to talk through. So if you're new to meditation, it actually introduces some principles that are useful to get a handle on. So I'll talk a little bit about that, and for those of you regular, we can have a particular emphasis on the whole body breathing. Different translations have different, but I'll talk about that in a minute. So what are we doing? What is mindfulness? What are we doing in the meditation? Well, the secular definition of mindfulness that's mostly current, it has to do with deliberately paying attention in the present moment, non-judgmentally and ongoingly. Something like that. I can't remember the exact quote. It was that kind of that definition originates with John Kabat-Zinn. But the word from the Pali language that is translated as mindfulness is sati. So you have the Satipatthana teaching, the Buddha's teaching on mindfulness, which is quite comprehensive. It's very direct. And in that teaching, he gives this particular structure for mindfulness of breathing. This word sati, it has an etymological root. It has to do with memory and recollectedness. So whereas the secular definition of mindfulness has very much to do with paying, bare attention and present momentness. Actually, the present momentness is good because it does fit with this memory thing. Hi, welcome. I'm just introducing a little bit about mindfulness, and we're going to do some mindfulness of breathing in a little while.
Thank you. Sorry to be late. Thank you.
No worries at all. No worries at all. Oh, hi, Kavi. We're on mindfulness today. So I'm just talking about this word sati that has to do with recollectedness, to do with memory. Self-remembering is another translation that's not very commonly used, but I quite like it. But when the Buddha's teaching mindfulness, he has these 4 qualities that go together. So there's sati, or mindfulness, and there's sampajanya, which sati and sampajanya, you often see them together. And when they first started translating these Pali texts, they tended to be synonymous with each other. But more recently, particularly in the last 10 to 15 years, the translations there seems to be a consensus that sati is this thing, recollectedness, presence, if you like. Presence actually is quite a good word. And sampajanya is this clear knowing. In the older translations of sampajanya, they talk about continuity of purpose, which is also a good quality to have when you're meditating, this sense of continuity. But the Buddha has another word, atapi, which means diligence. So in a way, that's the bit that holds the continuity of purpose, if you like, for me. So then that frees up sampajanya to hold the clear knowing. So mindfulness and clear knowing, presence, self-recollectedness, and clearly knowing what is happening. So that holds that sort of close attention to the present moment bit, that sort of clearly knowing what's there. And it also holds the wisdom bit. This is where the wisdom develops in knowing what is happening. we develop this sort of close attention, this presence, in order to know what is happening. And the more that we know what is happening, and we're able to do that continuously, the more that we start to understand about how our experience works. And at the end of the day, the Buddhist path is supposed to be an end to suffering, and it's not going to stop the pain when you stub your toe, but it is going to, if you learn directly how your experience works in your experience, then you can, over time, one can suffer less about one's suffering, if you like. I think to take the stub the toe example, stubbing your toe has a certain amount of pain involved with it. But if you're anything like me, what happens is you stub your toe and you're hopping around the room swearing for the next 2 minutes. And that's the pain about the pain. You're having pain about the pain. And there's and in a way, in that little piece there, you have the whole principle of the sort of secular mindfulness approaches to everything from working with chronic pain to addiction to anxiety. The Buddha gave this teaching of the two darts. It's like somebody shoots a dart into you, and instead of pulling it out, you stick another one in beside it. Anyway, I think the Buddha had a sense of humor. I hope the Buddha had a sense of humor. It seems like he did. So these four qualities, it's helpful to have these four qualities in mind. Sati, sampajanya, so mindfulness, clear knowing, diligence, continuity, but also this thing like putting aside whatever you don't need to be doing right now. Yeah, like put aside your work, clear a space. You're all here. You've all had to sign into a Zoom class. If you weren't here, you might have walked into a Buddhist center for a lunchtime class. So in a way, that's the beginning of it. The sort of contract that you make with yourself to be able to do some meditation. And it's worth bearing that in mind when you're trying to establish a practice and you're getting up in the morning and you're trying to persuade yourself to get on a meditation seat and do some meditation. Actually, you make a contract with yourself. That is part of the diligence quality. Okay, I think that's enough about that. So this version of mindfulness of breathing, Buddha just says, go to the forest, or to the root of a tree or an empty hut and sit down, fold the legs crosswise, keep the body erect, and having established mindfulness to the fore, mindfully breathe in, mindfully breathe out. Dead simple. But then the structure begins. Breathing in long, one knows one breathes in long, one breathes out long, one knows one breathes out long. Breathing in short, one knows one breathes in short. Breathing out short, one knows one breathes out short. We don't need to remember all of this. Basically, he's saying, be mindful of the breath and pay attention to how long the breath is or where the breath is, the texture of the breath. We pay more detailed attention to the breath. And then we have this instruction. This translation, which is my favorite, says, sensitive to the whole body, one breathes in. Sensitive to the whole body, one breathes out. Calming the whole body, one breathes in. Calming the whole body, one breathes out. It's really, the other translations, they're a little bit less clear. I won't go into what they are. I think we'll just work with my favorite today. I'm giving you a lot of information on Buddhism and Pali, but it's good to know where it all comes from. But for our purposes, we don't have to be a Buddhist to do this. It's just, these are the structures. People have been doing this for 2,500 years. So since it's still working, it still seems to be working. Have a go at it. Yes. Actually, there is something to say about the other translations. Is when I first came across translations of this, many years ago, it said something like, mindful of the whole body of breath. What does that mean? What does it mean, the whole body of breath? Does it mean the whole body breathing? Does it mean the parts of the body that are breathing? It's not very clear, but this new translation, which kind of says being sensitive, becoming sensitive to the whole body. And there are questions that this raises, and I think the best way to encounter those questions is to do some meditation. So make yourself upright if that's suitable for you. If you prefer to lie down, do lie down. Just try and stay awake. So I'm going to assume you're upright, but if you have another preference, please do adjust the instructions for your own purposes. Make sure that the legs are comfortable, that the back is either supported or well balanced, or both. And just to begin, you might like to close your eyes. And just hinging from the hips. If you're lying down, this won't be so easy to do. Probably best not to try. But if you're sitting upright, you might just like to hinge forward so that the head moves. If you imagine having a pencil on the crown of your head, that you'd be drawing a straight line forward to back on an imaginary piece of paper above your head. And that the length of that line is just 2 centimeters. So just sitting, just hinging from the hips, keeping the whole spine in one line, drawing an imaginary line with the crown of the head from front to back. So that the body is basically swaying front to back. So keep doing this for a little while. Notice, is the line that you're imagining drawing perfectly straight? Or does it wiggle somewhere? Does it veer off somewhere? Just keep the swaying. The line only needs to be 1 centimeter long or 2 centimeters at the most. Is your torso at ease? Is your rib cage and your belly, do they need to do anything? Could they do less? Because we're only hinging from the hips. You don't want to go so far forward that the back muscles have to work hard, and you don't want to go so far back that the stomach muscles need to work hard. It's keeping it very easy. Keep swaying, moving. And notice what's happening in the pelvis at the sitting bones. Your sitting bones. Does the weight shift over the sitting bones? Is the weight perhaps falling to the front of the sitting bones a little bit and then slightly to the back of the sitting bones? Is it possible to imagine that the center point of this swaying is perfectly balanced in the middle of your sitting bones, and that you're rolling slightly to the front and slightly to the back of your sitting bones? Is that possible? Is that easy? So keep this swaying going for another couple of breaths. And gradually make that line that's being drawn with the crown of your head, make that smaller and smaller. So you die away the swaying and come to rest at the most stable, comfortable point in this swaying journey. The swaying gets smaller and smaller and smaller until it comes to rest. And just be prepared that this may not be where you usually sit. Notice how it feels. And then just rest in the sitting, just resting in presence. No need to do anything, no need to be somebody or get anything from this moment. Just being, sitting quietly, gradually arriving into the experience that's happening now. Are you breathing? How do you know that you're breathing? What clues can you notice in the sensations that let you know that breathing is happening? So in a very relaxed, gentle way, being present, being mindful that breathing is happening, knowing that breathing is happening. Mindfully breathing in, mindfully breathing out, knowing how it feels. Nice and simple. Any time the mind wanders off, it doesn't matter. Just patiently, persistently direct the attention back to breathing in the body. Just gently directing the attention. And in a way, that movement, bringing the mind back, that is the workout of the meditation class. So simple, but not easy to keep continuity. So at the class, that's partly my job, is to keep reminding you. Are you still breathing? Does the breath feel the same now as it did a couple of minutes ago? So breathing in and knowing, is the breath long or short? Knowing where the breath is. Where is the breath? What kind of texture does the breath have? Maybe between those three questions about duration, location, and texture, you can maybe let yourself roam between those three questions. Where is the breath? How long is the breath? How is the breath? What kind of texture? If your mind wanders, do not fight with your mind. Simply notice, know that the mind has wandered, and direct your attention back to the breath, even if you have to do that once every 3 seconds. That's the workout. Mindful and knowing clearly the experience of breathing. That knowing also implies an intimacy with the experience of breathing. There's also an idea about mindfulness as an aesthetic appreciation in the moment. So then, sensitive to the whole body. One breathes in, sensitive to the whole body. One breathes out. So is it possible to open the awareness to the whole body, in the way that the whole body is involved in breathing? Breath comes into the lungs, from the lungs to the heart and the bloodstream, and from through the bloodstream into the whole body. All 38 trillion cells at once being breathed. That might be one approach. What if you can observe 38 trillion cells at once being breathed? Or simply the whole body. Is it possible to be aware of the whole body What parts of the body become most obvious? And also what parts of the body are not so clear? Watching the breath, maybe sensations in armpits or in the middle of the back are a little bit less available to awareness. Where are the places that are not quite included in your awareness of the body? Let the awareness gradually open the whole range of sensation. As you sit quietly watching the breath, contemplating the whole body, more and more detail, more and more nuance becomes available as our sensory field, our heart and mind quiet down just a little bit. A lot more detail becomes available. Whatever arises in the heart and mind that takes you away from the breath, simply know it. Note it perhaps. Oh yeah, thinking about work, bring yourself back to the breath. Oh yes, thinking about holidays, bring yourself back to the breath. Keep it a very light and simple gesture. Don't fight with the thoughts, just let them be. Just turn your attention back to the experience of breath and the body, the whole body. Interested in the whole body. Sensitive to the whole body. Breathing in, breathing out. Whatever else is going on at work, whatever else is going on in the world, will still be there at the end of the hour. So for now, pursue your intention to watch the breath. Enjoy the breath. So although we're very diligent and persistent with our attention, it's a very light and gentle attention Nothing is forced. Next step of the structure is to say calming the whole body. One breathes in, calming the whole body. One breathes out. Something that you get to learn after a while is that whatever you pay attention to in the body with awareness will tend to relax. So it's just a making explicit something that's already probably happening. As you're becoming aware of the whole body, breathing in, sensitive to the whole body, breathing out, the body will also respond to that attention with relaxation. See if that's true. If you notice that your shoulders are a little bit tense, perhaps, what happens if you direct your attention there for a few breaths? Or any other part of the body that's a little bit stressed or tight right now. We'll give it a little bit more directed attention, just for a breath or two. Just see if it doesn't relax. You can test what I'm saying. You don't have to take my word for it. So when you come back to the whole body, you can experience the whole body calming, settling. The mind and the body are not separate. So to calm the body is to calm the mind somewhat. So if you find that the body is becoming uncomfortable from the sitting, please do move. But move slowly and gently so that you can continue to meditate as you perhaps move that leg somewhere more comfortable or shift your position. Move slowly, move gently. Don't disturb the meditation. And then when you find the new place, really settle into the stillness once again. Are you present for the whole cycle of the breath? Do you experience it as a cycle? Or is it something more linear in your experience? Does the breath turn the corner, or does it turn back and go the other way? What kind of breath are you having? So the Buddha's instructions continue with the idea of becoming sensitive to joyful, pleasurable feeling tongue. That this experience of breath and body has a hedonic tone to it. It could be somewhat pleasurable. Tending with the mind deliberately over a period of time like this is also quite satisfying. So the act of meditating has its own pleasure. The breath is pleasant. Sensations of the body. There's a lot of pleasant sensation in the body. There may also be uncomfortable sensations. Just have some patience there, some kindness. But for now, sensitive to whatever is pleasurable or joyful in experience. Even if it's that little bit of relaxation in that shoulder that we found earlier, or softening of the hands, easing of the hips. Softening of the belly. The belly is a good place to look, actually. So much of the belly is moving with the breath. As the belly softens with the breath, it can be quite a lot of pleasurable feeling time. And simply know it. Enjoy it. Don't hold on to it. Let it come. Let it go. Enjoy it while it's there. And having patience for whatever is not pleasurable. No need to focus on that. But no need to push it away either. So directing our attention, directing our sensitivity towards joy and pleasure. In all of the six senses. sensitive to pleasurable sensation, sensitive to pleasurable experience in any of the senses. One breathes in and enjoying the moment, enjoying whatever there is to be enjoyed, patience with whatever is not enjoyable. And if that all seems a little complicated, just breathing with it all, just sitting, experiencing, breathing, mindful and knowing. And if you feel ready to take the next step, is simply directing attention to the subtler, slightly deeper pleasures of the meditation that are calmer, less joyful, and more blissful even, or simply a sense of contentment, deep, pleasurable contentment, breathing in, sensitive to that deep contentment one breathes out. And if there is discontent, don't push it away. Simply be patient and breathe with it all. Let's take some time to rest. Let go of any effort that you're making. Simply rest in presence, in your posture. And when you let go of your effort, what happens? When the attention is no longer directed, what arises in awareness? Where does it go? Is it possible to notice any difference in heart and mind and body between now and when you started meditating? What might that difference be? What might those differences be? And when you're ready, coming back into the Zoom